Hey everybody, I'm Dom. I am the creator of this channel, Uncaped Mama. This started as a podcast idea that turned into an Instagram page first, and then a podcast, and now a YouTube channel. And the whole purpose of this is me talking about motherhood, about the realities of my specific motherhood journey that may be relatable to other people, in addition to me having guests and having conversations with people who are moms or not, who desire to be moms or not, who've been mothered or not, um, who are just going through this motherhood journey. My goal here is to connect, to relate, to be real and authentic, to talk about all the things that come with being uh, a mom and a business owner and a person who works full time and who essentially just wants to share some of the realities of motherhood. So, welcome. If you are a follower, if you're a new follower and this is where you're starting, um, I am hoping that this grows and this becomes a trusted space, a safe space where you will, kind of communicate and ask questions and that sort of thing. Know that I do not plan on getting so personal that I'm sharing the intimate moments of my children. I do not intend to tell you their names, so don't ask. I do not intend to share so much about them that it takes away from me and the aspects of motherhood that I'm talking about. So I'm not talking about, I may talk about my childhood and what's coming up for me as a mother, but my intent is not to share my children's childhood, but potentially what I'm learning from mothering them, and what I'm learning about living life as I'm seeing the world through their eyes. So there is that. I am not ashamed of blocking comments and people. So please be respectful. I encourage questions and insight and perspective, but if it gets to be too much for me, you might get ignored. You might get blocked if you try me. So just don't. My intent for this page is to share all kinds of perspectives, and everything is not for everybody. So I hope that there are things that are relatable to you. Everything won't be. Um, so I'm like, let me give you that disclaimer before we even dive all the way into anything. Today, I wanted to talk about parenthood and the realities of motherhood and some of the things that I just like was not aware of or didn't even think about before becoming a mother. And that's where we're going to start. There are episodes that are already up for my podcast that um, you will see. So there's 9 episodes you can check out. There's some shorts that are already out there as well. Um, yeah. So you can go and hear from some of the guests I've already had. You can hear from me and hear a little bit of my story and kind of catch up. My goal is to keep my videos and podcasts relatively short so that it's easily digestible. It's not something that, you have to try to squeeze into these long periods of your already busy life. If you know moms that could benefit from just hearing this, let me know or refer them, just add them to send my video or share the video. Of course, subscribe and like and engage, so that this channel builds and also more people hear about it. All right, so today's topic: motherhood. So I'm 39 years old currently, and I became a mom or became pregnant when I was 36. Um, and I was 36 years old when I had my first child. I had a son. And then I had my second child when I was 37. So very quickly after, and that was not my plan. That was those children's plan. And I always say that that was them. They knew that they wanted me, and they probably knew if we don't come now, it's not happening for this lady. She is like over it. She is committed to just being an auntie, and I love the title of auntie. So being a parent and becoming a parent and becoming a mom in my mid late 30s was fine for me. Um, I do not judge anyone for the time period in which they became a mom. There are challenges regardless. There are things that happen, right? Like it takes a full miracle, right, to even conceive a child. Like I need people to understand all the things that have to work together scientifically and biologically for a child to even be conceived. It's a whole other miracle for a child to be delivered into this world. There are so many things that go into that, right? This is a miracle. Okay. It doesn't just happen. And one of the first things that I learned and like came to realize is how much of a miracle that entire process is, and how often it is talked about like, oh, you have sex and then you have a baby. No, it doesn't happen like that. If it did, there would be more children, and we wouldn't have people out there working really hard, praying really hard to conceive and have children, right? Like it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. So I want to recognize the blessing that it is, to be able to get through that process, right? I also want to acknowledge those who have experienced loss in any way, shape, or form in that journey, um, and after that journey. But that's one of the first things, right? That like this is a series of miracles. And so sometimes you hear these judgments like, you're going to be 40 taking kids to kindergarten. And I'm like, yeah. And I am, who cares? Like, I don't care that I'll be in my 40s taking my children to school. I will be grateful that my children will have the ability to go to school or be homeschooled or whatever we decide to do, whatever their education looks like, right? I will be grateful to even be involved in that process, to have my children even get to those milestones. I don't care how old I am. People are becoming parents much older than me, and it's a blessing. And there are people who are becoming parents much younger than me. It's a blessing. At any age, it comes with challenges. But for me to become a parent in my late 30s, um, I think that was when I was finally mentally ready. Physically, I think I always desired to be a mom. It is not something that I like talked about and deeply dreamed about, from childhood, but it is something I desired. And I feel like my body became potentially ready where you sort of have this physical desire to be a mom in my 20s. I just did. And there's also kind of societal pressures and things people say that make you feel like, oh, it's got to happen in my 20s. And so I started to have that physical desire for it, and this sort of yearning for it, even not to the point of like, let me just get pregnant by anybody, but like, wow, I really do want to be a mom. And I really want this to happen for me. And so like, God, make this happen for me, like I really want to do this. And in that yearning, got to a point in my mid 30s, like by the time I was 35, right before actually I turned 36, I thought maybe it's not in the cards for me to be a mom, but I am an auntie and I am a godmom, and I take those roles really seriously. And while I feel like since becoming a mom, it's just been harder, it's just been more challenging to try to juggle even those responsibilities. I still very much um, take those responsibilities and those titles and those roles seriously. Um, and I had just sort of said right before my 36th birthday, like, I'll just do that. Like, that's a blessing too. And there is nurturing and support and challenging conversations and celebrations and all of that are within that role to these children. Let's roll with it. I'm good with that, right? Um, and there was some grieving that happened before I was able to like accept that, and also think the release of all of that pressure made made my first child say, all right, I'm ready to go to her. Um, and the reason that I say that is I did a lot of healing work during that pregnancy, mental and spiritual healing. And it didn't end. Like healing is a journey, it's like a never ending thing. It's not going to take me forever to heal from the exact same things. But there was just a lot of healing that I had to do. And a lot of it was around my mindset, around a lot of things. And so that was another thing that I learned. Like, it's a miracle and a series of miracles. And then there's this like preparation that we don't talk about outside of physically preparing your body and all the changes that happen physically and outside of the knowledge that you want to gain. There's also this like mental and spiritual aspect that just had so many things coming up for me throughout the process, especially because I found out I was pregnant and like within days I was a single parent. The relationship just didn't work out, wasn't meant to be in that form. Um, and one day I'll even get to that topic because we come a long way from that. I kind of talk about it in my last podcast episode on co-parenting, but um, never anticipated being a single parent. Um, and and that is like not any shade to single parents because I'm a huge advocate for single parents and them getting the support that they need and talking to people about all the ways that single parenting can occur and why people need to stop making blanket statements about single moms and even single dads. Um, that's another topic for another day. Being single, going through parenting and learning and having this child develop in my body and going through that process, man, so much mental and spiritual work had to be done. I was doing a lot of crying and grieving and processing. I mean, I was in therapy, like getting real deep. A lot of spiritual work, a lot of shadow work, as people like to call it, but really just like uncovering these things that I had buried or like maybe repressed or maybe even weren't, I like wasn't even aware of related to me and how I saw the world and how I processed the world and what I was thinking about in regards to becoming a parent, what I liked, what I didn't like, how people very quickly started to treat me, all the things that people were saying that was like, I don't like that. I reject that. Where is that coming from? Whoa, who are you? Like, who are you? Or like, I didn't ask you for any of that. I have a doula. I got a midwife who has a connection to, an OB. I have a hematologist. Like, I got a mama, I got a grandma, I got an auntie, I got cousins, right? I got a brother. Like, I didn't ask any of anybody for any random advice. If I was just sharing something in regards to motherhood or like my excitement around motherhood or things I was doing to prepare, folks just gave unsolicited advice. I didn't ask you for that, which is the third thing, advice. So there's these miracles, there's this spiritual and mental work that has to happen. And there's just this like, how do I want to address everybody's thoughts and opinions about what's going on with me when they are not me? You are not me. You are not the child that I am carrying, have birth, am taking care of every day. You got a lot of thoughts and opinions that nobody asked you for, and nobody knows me or these children better than me. They don't. They just, I don't care how you feel about that, how that lands with you. You don't. So when I'm talking about reading books about conscious parenting, because I want to be a conscious parent, I desire to be that, not a perfect parent. I want to be a conscious parent. You telling me like ain't nothing I can get out of these books or throw them away or you're not even gonna remember all that stuff. All I did was post my books because I like to read and I'm a nerd. And I was excited to share because maybe there's somebody else out there who would be interested in those books. What are you projecting onto me about you and your parenting journey? Because that feels like projection, right? I didn't say anything about you. I'm just sharing me, right? Or when I would share that like my child co-sleeps. I don't care what your child does. My child's fine co-sleeping and our pediatrician's fine with it. He's fine, right? I ask your thoughts and opinions. I am fully aware of the risks of a lot of things, right? Certainly, but I'm not finna get on social media and tell you everything I did and give you this disclaimer before I post something. Like, please, please, right? Um, then it got to a point where I was dating again, and people assumed that I was a single parent because I just chose not to post the relationship like that. I just chose not to. Um, and people will be like, I really look up to you as a single parent of two toddlers. And I was like, what made you think I was a single parent? Because you never post about it. Yeah, it's a lot I don't post about. Like you think I'm posting a lot of things. You think I'm sharing a lot of things in motherhood. There's a lot I decided not to because of how y'all acted when I was pregnant. Like, I don't want to deal with everybody's thoughts and opinions about what I'm doing. There's a lot of things in the ways in which I want to parent that folks are not going to agree with. I'm constantly getting criticisms and people's thoughts and feelings about how I'm supposed to look, how my kids are supposed to look, hair, clothes, whatever. Like, but you're not providing none of that. I'm providing a household and electricity and food, going to the doctor, asking questions, doing research, like spending time with these kids, like getting to know them, playing with them, supporting. Like, you not as much as you might think you doing that for your kids, or you did that for your kids. You're not doing that for these children. You are still very outside looking in. And so I had to learn a lot about what I was going to engage with and not, which is hard for me. I am constantly wanting to defend myself, set the record straight. It's something in my astrology chart, like has me really caring about my reputation in a way where like I want to be understood and often feel misunderstood, and sort of can get into a, like, we can go down a rabbit hole and me defending myself in hopes that you will get it. And then I sort of always get to a place where I'm like, why am I even doing this? You don't want to get it. Like, there's something else going here. You're projecting your own stuff about your own parenting, or the way that you were parented onto me and my household and my relationship and my kids. Like, don't do that. Don't do that to people. You can relate, don't project. And like, catch yourself if you begin projecting. Catch yourself if like nobody asks, like specifically asks for advice. Ask if somebody wants it. There's a way to share your perspective and your story without telling somebody else what they need to do, what they should do, whatever, right? So there's that. Um, then there's continued healing. Motherhood is triggering. There are just things that happen naturally. And I'm like something's coming up for me that actually has nothing to do with my kids, but it's coming up from somewhere. And what is this? I got to figure this out. What is this fear? What is this anxiety? What is this um, tension? What is this like? What what are these tears? What is this? Because what's happening in this moment just seems like regular child stuff, but I'm over here like in the trenches emotionally and like spiritually because I don't know what the heck my body kept the score of that's coming up right now while we're playing. What is this? Right. And so, um, continued healing, continued acknowledgement of stuff that's going on. The amount of mom guilt that I have felt and tend to feel on a regular basis is tough, and I'm getting better. But I felt so guilty knowing that I needed to put my kid in daycare the first time. So guilty. The guilt was around like needing to work, rising costs of things, needing to make more money and knowing I'm not making enough, needing financial support but being so independent, like not really asking, so just like struggling. Also while having a business, also while like the other side of that is Like, this is good for him. And y'all, then with my daughter, I try to do the same thing. She'll go to daycare eventually. I gotta keep her close to me at home as long as I can and try to afford it. Because now it's two infant age slash toddler age children in daycare. That's not cheap. Let alone are the slots even available? Like, we have to start there. Is there even daycare available in your area? Then can you afford it? Like, then is it a safe space? Like, then all of that. What are they learning? How is this daycare run? Like, does it align with my values and what I want my children to be exposed to? What are they feeding them? What are they not feeding them? Like, how often are they changing them? Is it safe? What are their policies? Like, who are these staff members? Like, stuff. And it had me guilty, feeling guilt when like finances were so tight that there were things I just could not do and could not buy. Um, Feeling guilty, asking for help from godparents or their other parent, asking for help from my parent, and my grandparent. Just like guilt on guilt on guilt. Guilt. The first time I was like real sick, couldn't move, like sick. And my mom was helping me with my kids, and I heard her tell my grandma, like, no, something's really wrong because she has not left her bed. That's not like her. I mean, I was in here crying, feeling guilty, like, how could you get sick or injured or whatever? I think my like back gave out or something. And, y'all, trenches, okay? And just feeling guilty. And I'm like, where's this pressure coming from? Like, there is pressure, particularly on moms. I cannot speak from a dad's perspective. I am not a dad, right? So if this applies to you as a father, awesome. Let me know, let us know, right? But there's just like immense amount of pressure for moms to always show up and be a certain way. And I'm like, how am I supposed to do that if I'm not getting enough sleep and I'm not eating and I'm not hydrated and mentally, like, I'm exhausted and maybe depressed and anxious? My body is still healing. Maybe I got high blood pressure because I'm dealing with preeclampsia and now I'm on medication. Um, how? And I got the financial stuff I'm thinking about. I got the doctor's appointments I'm juggling. I have the milestones and the development that's supposed to be met. I'm supposed to be engaging with them and teaching them stuff. I'm not supposed to have this amount of screen time. I got a child who won't eat. I have a child with some like developmental delays. I got another one with like a physical injury related to delivery and labor. I got another one like whose hair won't grow, and that's all everybody else keeps talking about. Everybody talking about like their size, if they're fat or too small, they're too big, they're too small. They should be doing this by now. They should be saying this by now. You need to buy clothes like this. Don't buy clothes from there. They need to wear this name brand. Don't put them in that. Just then your body. I mean, the amount of comments, like, I know that I'm working on, you know, loving my body for me and weight loss and health and, trying to get movement and eat a certain way and stay hydrated for myself so that my body functions well, so that I feel good in my body and I can decrease the amount of pain and inflammation in my body. And people know you're doing that and they be like, you still fat though. Literally. Oh, it's not helping your stomach. Well, this person, after they had a baby, they look like this. All of those like thoughts and opinions, and then they start to transform into this guilt, which then it goes back to the mental and spiritual stuff, right? That I've talked about. Like, those things just tended to be a cycle. In addition to the tactical things, scheduling appointments, routines, in and outside the household, packing diaper bags, um, making sure there's enough food and snacks, and introducing new foods and snacks and weaning them off of formula. Is it the right formula? And managing allergies and paying attention to, like, are you allergic to that or not? The like, even in this co-parenting journey, like, understanding custody and conservatorship and child support and like the legal system related to family law where I live, and what can I do and say and not do and say, and just like all of that, in addition to the business, work, mental, physical, spiritual health, self-care outside of that, and trying to like make sure I have my own identity outside of motherhood. It's essentially why I wanted to create this brand, um, to create content to just talk about it. It's a lot. And in this journey, I've become so grateful for so many things. I can find things to be grateful for every day. Like the fact that I get to sit here and record this, knowing, like wondering what my children are doing right now, but knowing that they're safe and protected, like as safe and protected as they can be where they are. So grateful. Knowing that I have figured out some systems and things that work for me, and knowing that other moms just need to hear that. You've already got some sort of routine and some sort of systems and something that you're doing. How do we start to have a discussion about how to make that work for you? Like, what is it really? Given the realities of like where you're at, what can we do right now? And then giving your desires, like realistically, what part of this can you control? And like, what are a couple next steps so that you are not overwhelmed? Like, this space needed to be created, um, even if it helps one mom. And I actually had people asking me, people were like, oh my gosh, you're such a great mom. And not initially. As time went on, people started to tell me how great of a mom I am. And I'm like, there's no way. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no clue what I'm doing. A lot of decisions I make feel very intuitive. And I realized people were telling me I was a great mom because of the things I was doing that were just intuitive, right? Like, so my son, when he was around 5 months, was interested in solids. And so we were doing purees, and he was like doing baby led weaning, I guess is what they call, and like nibbling on things, and just super curious. And then it got to the point where he was eating salmon and rice and veggies and edamame, and like we went to eat sushi, and the boy basically ate my sushi, and I had to order him a little bento box, and he ate almost all of that, right? Loved different flavors, loved savory things. He wasn't really into sweets, and I was cool with that, right? He had been allergic to lactose, and regular formulas, and so we had finally figured out what formula works for him. So he was getting formula and being introduced to solids, and it was awesome. And then one day he stopped, and I'm like, okay, maybe you just don't want it today or right now. Like, okay, I just give you save this for later, right? Here we are. Memories come up on my phone of the things that he would eat 2 years ago that like right now he will throw on the floor. He won't even touch it. And I didn't understand what was going on, right? But intuitively, I said, well, if he doesn't want to eat, like I, as an adult, when I don't want to eat, I don't eat. So I'm not about to force him. And people are like, you need to make him eat that. He's throwing it on the floor. He should get in trouble. Why am I? What? I'm. You want me to discipline an 11-month-old who does not want to eat what's in front of him? And you think he's going to understand that? Do you get disciplined when you go somewhere and you order something and it's gross and you don't want it no more? Or suddenly you don't feel well after preparing a meal, so you just like put it away for later? Or somebody makes something and like you're at an event or whatever, and like that's not what you want? You don't get punished for that. You find something else, or you take care of yourself until you're at a place where you can eat again. But in that time, you try to nourish yourself with something, right? Ideally, you're gonna get hydrated, or maybe you're gonna get some ginger ale, right? Some crackers, some soup, like, right? So for me, intuitively, I said, I can get him to drink things. I'll make him some smoothies. And people were like, you're such a good mom. I'm like, because I make my kid smoothies. Like it wasn't connecting to me that the pressure on moms causes us to over complicate things. And the comparison of yourself to other moms that are not the moms of your children, and the pressure maybe put on you by your mom and her mom, and can be a lot. And so you don't listen to your intuition when it comes to parenting your children. And I am here to say to you today, to listen to it. It's never steered you wrong. And in this motherhood journey, like trusting my intuition and making those smoothies and having the doctor say, that's brilliant that you started making him smoothies. Let's enhance them, right? What are you putting in them? Let's talk about it. Wow, that's actually a great balance of fruits and vegetables. Let's also make sure he gets some good fats. Here's why. Here are some like supplements that you can add to his smoothies because we know he drinks them. We know he doesn't like them too sweet. You're doing a great job. You don't need to add no sugar, blah, blah. Like we were able to talk about that. And know that as we went down the journey to continue to look into his development, like smoothies being the foundation of his nutrition has helped him so much. Like he was losing weight. He's gained weight. He's caught up, right? Like to growth goals pretty quickly. Um, he was recently diagnosed with autism. Not so recent, I guess. We started going down that journey a year ago, actually. But diagnosed last November. And knowing that nutritional supports are like they're important for everybody, but specifically just like getting him the nutrition supports he needs matter, right? It matters that he gets vitamins and minerals that support brain development and cognitive function. Because even if he chooses not to talk or like truly never develops the ability to verbally communicate outside of babbling, which he does a lot of, and he's learning words and those sorts of things. But if that changes, he's still brilliant. He still has a brain that we want to like function as optimally as it can, and that requires proper nutrition, right? So, hearing from the doctors that like and getting that praise that was a good thing, and them asking how'd you do that, and I was like, I don't know. I knew that he would drink, but I would drink and I love smoothies and he would eat some of my smoothie or drink some of my smoothie with me. Like he used to beg for it. So I knew I can get him to drink it. And I knew he needed nourishment. I wasn't going to starve him. So I just started making them, right? Like I didn't have much of an answer outside of that. So just like having that and knowing that and rolling with it is one of the things that I tell moms to do is like listen to your intuition. Pause when a child is maybe having a tantrum that sort of doesn't make sense to you in the moment. And it's giving you a little bit of anxiety and like now you're kind of on edge and maybe overstimulated. Taking a few deep breaths and thinking, okay, what is happening here? All right, it's 9 p.m. It's dark. We had dinner. They also played a lot. Are they overtired? They need some support in getting to sleep. So let's like get rid of all the extra stimulus. Let's turn the lights down. Let's maybe check the temperature of the room and adjust that. Let's maybe change the pajamas that they have on. And let's calm things down to support an environment where they can rest, right? Maybe this is a time where like you cuddle them to sleep. Cool. Maybe we rock them to sleep. Cool. Like, great. Because I know what it's like to be overly tired and I'd be irritated, right? When I still have to continue working. And you might get some tears from me at the big age of 39 if one more ask like pushes me over the edge, right? What do you think it's like for a baby or a toddler who cannot communicate with you in a way that you would understand? They're frustrated. And sometimes they don't even recognize that like there's something they can do, right? They have to learn to do it. They have to learn to listen to their intuition and their like physical cues to say, "Oh, you're tired. Lay down." We had to learn that. We learned that over time. Why are we expecting that children who are new to this planet and this realm and this life would just naturally do all the things that we expect them to do? It doesn't work like that. And so motherhood is this art and this balance of like intuition plus like all these like tactical things. And I want you to trust your intuition. And I hope that as we continue to go down this journey on this channel, that I get to share more of those practical things, but also give you some encouragement. So this is my first video. I don't know how long it's been. It's probably been longer than I wanted it to be. But yeah, those are some things about motherhood. I hope this was relatable. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next time. I want you to know that like I kind of just like I don't intend to carefully curate um much here. Obviously, I want it to be like aesthetically pleasing and not a distraction and those things, but you may see me recording and a child walk in the background or a fiance who just busts in, busts in the room and says something, or a nana who's like, Dominique, right? Like, because she does that. Um, this real life over here. And I hope to share some things that are valuable. And eventually, who knows what this will grow into? But this is the beginning. So thank you for following, subscribe, engage in the comments, share, listen to the podcast either on Spotify or here. Just go listen and play the videos and comment and engage there and keep rocking with me.